Now, I think that sounds all well and good, but it's kind of boring by itself. So let's spice it up a little bit, which gets to the audio file that I actually brought from home to use in this project. So how do we import our own? How do we import stuff that from before? I have a little music file that I want to overlay on this to get us in the mood for learning. So the way to import, you just go up to File, Import, and then Import File. And we're going to find it wherever it is. Mine's this free hip-hop beat. And there it is right here in the top left-hand side, free hip-hop beat. It was a beat I found online. I could not tell you exactly where I found it. You just be careful whenever you're using audio from another source. You want to make sure that you have the correct rights to use it if you are going to be distributing this. If it's just for personal use, do what you want. Nobody cares. But I made sure that this was a royalty-free beat that I'm using here. But how do we get it in? So we're just going to drag and drop it. Free hip hop beat. Boom. We're going to put it in track 2. That way it doesn't overlay our audio. And there it is. So let's see. Now, if let's say you just want to listen to this, just our music here, without the vocals interrupting it, so we can test stuff. Next to track 2, there's an M, there's an S, and an R. We already learned what R does. That means record. But M means mute. So that'll mute this audio if we just want to listen to track 1. And then there's solo, S. And what solo does is it will mute all other tracks except for the one you have selected. And that way you can listen to it just by itself. So what's this sound like? Oop. Turn that down a lot. We're just going to vibe for a second. Okay, enough of that. Just a little audio file here. So let's try to put that into, and we're just trying to put it into our recording. I did reduce the volume on it by just using this little volume slider. The advantage of this volume slider versus the other one, if we go into the waveform editor, is that, again, if we do it in here, it's permanent. If we do it out here, it is temporary until we export our entire project. So I don't think we need all that intro. So just like before, we can kind of scroll to the left here with our bracket, and we can remove a lot of that. And let's go to the back end. I don't think we're going to need 3 minutes of audio for 3 minutes of a song for just a few seconds of audio. So we're just going to do the same thing. Going to go to find that red bracket and just remove a lot of that. I think that'll be fine. Now we got to move stuff. Up to this point, we've been using the time selection tool. If you see on the on the left-hand side here, top left, we have a few different options. We've been using the time selection tool to highlight things, but now we're going to switch to the move tool. There are hotkeys for this. It's just, you can just hit V and it will select to the move tool, and then the time selection tool is T. Very helpful if you're doing longer projects or really any project at all. Those will become second nature to you. But we're just going to use the move tool, and we're just going to drag and drop our song a little closer. Oh, somehow we got a little EOD thing here. What happened there? Let's get rid of that. Look, that's the marker we were talking about earlier. I think I accidentally hit the C, which I think is the marker button. Or yeah, C. So we're just going to remove that. Go away. Delete all markers. Anyway. Okay. And let's see. Oh, and we want to make sure to unsolo so that we can hear the audio again. Let's kind of see how everything lines up. Today we're learning about Run DMC. Run DMC was an American hip-hop group from Holland, Queens, New York, founded in 1983 by Joseph Simmons, Daryl McDaniels, and Jason Mizell. Run DMC is regarded as one of the most influential acts in the history of hip-hop culture and one of the most famous hip-hop acts of the 1980s. How cool is that? That's starting to sound like some production now.
Yeah, that sounds good.
You like that?
Yes.
And all it is just audio. It's just our vocals and a royalty-free track behind it. So I think we can clean up a little bit more, just add a little more pizzazz to it. Let's try to do a little fade in, a little fade out. So let's reduce this a little more so that way if they're listening, they don't need too much. This is a really cool a little tool here is on the hip hop beat. There's a little square here that's like two colors of gray. It's a fade in effect. So if we hover over it and hold down and pull it, it's a little volume slider. So let's put it to be right before our voice, and then let's kind of go out with it. If you go up and down, it changes the type of sliding that it does, where it kind of goes really fast, a hard cut and then kind of slows out, or kind of the opposite where it slows a little and then a lot. I like just a linear straight path. I think that'll be enough for what we're using. But yeah, just same thing. Just find when you click on the box or click on the audio track, little box there, and you just move that around. Just drag and drop. So let's take a look. Let's try it. See how it sounds now. Coming in. Today we're learning about Run DMC. Run DMC was an American hip-hop group from Holland, Queens, New York, founded in 1983 by Joseph Simmons, Daryl McDaniels, and Jason Mizell. Run DMC is regarded as one of the most influential acts in the history of hip-hop culture and one of the most famous hip-hop acts of the 1980s. I'm going to come out. Oh, now that's starting to sound good. I'm really happy with that.
Yeah, that does. That sound cleaner. You can tell the difference.
Yeah. And so that's why it's important just to take these little steps every here and there, just to make sure that your audio quality is high, and that because I think it works because everything sounds like it was made with the same quality. We can hear our voice very clearly. We can hear the track, the music very clearly, but it's not overpowering. We're just using little adjustments just to bring out what's most important. Even if we were going to keep playing with this, I even think that maybe we could reduce the volume a little bit more on each, maybe play around with it. And, depending on kind of where it's going to be played, where we think it'll be played, we can make even further adjustments, which is another thing I think is important when you're making projects, just in general, is to think about where is somebody going to be hearing this? Are they going to be listening in headphones? Are they going to be hearing it in their car? Again, like if you're making a podcast, most podcasts are played during commutes in people's cars. And we have found that bass is very nice, but it makes it hard to hear with where it can make it hard to hear. It can cause extra distortion where you're just hearing, hello, car audio can't always pick that up, and it can be distracting, can be overpowering. So a lot of things that are played in the car, they actually reduce the bass a little bit. We're not going to be really playing too much into that, but just something to consider. But a different application, if you are making music in here, then you want the full spectrum. You want the full range of frequencies. So people are going to be listening more with either their headphones, or maybe they have higher quality headphones that can accept that higher range. So you don't have to worry about reducing bass. But a little bit of market research goes a long way. And now we have a pretty solid project.